let my friend at the door, so I might just.
Oh, we're live. Are we
we're
in?
good now. We're in.
All right. Okay. Here we go. Rundown. June fucking 5th, Friday. Long week. Big week in the Kirk Minahan show world. Heavy stuff when it comes to the current events in the real world, and got pretty heavy during the week with the show content too. We've got John from Scranton. We've got Fez back, and we've got Madawaska Rob. I'm not familiar with Madawaska Rob. This is the first time that we have interacted. And Rob, you've got a Kirk Minahan story that we need to hear.
This is actually a great story.
I do. So I think that other than Kirk's like family and close friends, I'm probably the longest reigning Minifan in the universe. And I get no respect or credit for it. Never. But when I was I think I was 10 or 11. I'm from Woburn. He's obviously from Winchester, and I'm a basketball guy, so I used to go to the games all the time with my father. And I remember my father sat down one game. I was 11 years old. He looked me in the face and said, "This Minahan kid, I love the way he plays the game of basketball." And I go, "Oh yeah, Dad." I'll never forget that for as long as I live. And that's it. I've been a fan ever since. And the one game that I watched, he dropped, I think, 3 threes. He weighed about 52 pounds. His jersey looked like it was a XXX, and you could tell he was the cockiest motherfucker out there. It was great, and that was it. I was a fan ever since. Right since then.
That's so crazy that you got to see him then and you hear him now. How much shit did he talk on the floor? He looks like. I mean, obviously, he's the guy who talks a lot of shit, man. He seems like that guy who would jack up a 3, tell you about it.
And then go in the huddle and draw up a play for the rest of the team. That's pretty much like what he would be like. It's exactly how he talks and he acts now. Yeah, he was like that with basketball coach. Same way.
So I thought you were a Madawaska guy. I had no fucking clue what was going on.
Me too.
Yeah.
So you went up to Madawaska. That was why you created the Twitter account, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I am from Woburn, and I've been listening to Kirk since the EEI weekend days, and I followed him. I was on Twitter for about a month and a half 4 years ago and battled with Riccio like you would not fucking believe. And then I ended Twitter for 4 years. I said, I can't do this. I'll be sitting there all day. And then I created it when I was up in Madawaska because I didn't know anybody. I was up there by myself. So again, like we were talking about before, my wife has said, you got to get someone's phone number, or you have to figure out some way that if you get lost or killed or bust off the highway, that you can contact somebody. So I started this, and here I am.
That's
Here we are, buddy.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys hopped in. I didn't know if we were going to be able to do this with Mike and the Minifans going on, and we wanted to go after and go live. With everything going on this week, it's crazy to think that Sunday night was the live YouTube where they started doing that, and Kirk comes on, he starts talking about everything he's seen. The beginning of that weekend, the riots, the protests, and then everything that's going on with Barstool and their comments on it. Fez, I'm going to kick it over to you, man. What were you thinking? Did you watch Sunday night or listen Monday morning? What were you thinking as you were listening and watching that?
Yeah, I listened. It was, I think, Monday morning, and to wrap it in to kind of all of it. It's weird when Kirk gets serious because you got Mike who doesn't say a goddamn thing normally, and then he just shuts his mouth completely and just goes off and just goes. Yeah, but it's interesting with the whole. I know we're talking about the riots, but the whole Ellie Schnitt thing about how nothing comes about it. So I think, if I remember correctly, Ellie said something like, "Black people need to be heard." So if you take, and what blows my mind is, so if you take all of Ellie Schnitt's social media presence, so she has I think 500 on Twitter on her personal, it's like 70,000 on her show, and then you jump over to Instagram, it's like another 200, another 50,000, then YouTube has 14,000. So you're getting close to a million followers. However, you never see anything about a Black person's voice being heard from Ellie Schnitt until she decides to hitch her wagon to this. And the way that I look at it is, if George Floyd is your turning point when you're, 24, is your turning point of, if you want to end racism, you got way more issues than that, because you should have been, if you are a crusader, hey, that's great. You want to be, Chief Wildcock and lead this friggin' parade, that's fine. But you can't all of a sudden start one day when 4 days ago you were talking about, I don't even know what she talks about, blowjobs or whatever she talks about.
Right.
But that's what I don't understand is that how can no one really see where her heart is in a good place, but she's grandstanding. She's 100% grandstanding with us.
Well, she comes off as just an Instagram influencer who just happens to have a podcast, and all of a sudden she's recommending books that she's never read, and all of a sudden she's a learned person on race relations because of New York Times and what they recommended for books. Like it's crazy for me. The toughest thing for me to watch was that, and then they have that Wednesday night. You get the Schnitt heads coming at the Minifans, which was not much of a battle at all on Twitter. And then, there's no push from my biggest disappointment, and John, I'll kick it over to you after this, is he didn't require Ellie Schnitt to go on to Kirk's show. Like, if I'm the head of content, that's the first thing I'm telling. Like, if you guys are going to have beef, I love beef. That's great. But for the views, for the clicks, for the downloads, you guys got to fucking go on a show together, and you got to figure it out. I don't care which. So for her to not come on the show and to turn it down right away, for me was bullshit. But then also for Portnoy not to just tell her you have to do it. I was really disappointed in that. I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed. John, what were you thinking through the whole thing?
Ellie Schnitt, I never really got into her with Barstool because she's just like the whole like young girl dating scene, like that terrifying group of fucking young girls that it just terrifies me. But I mean, I thought at least she would come on and talk, like at least fight your point. I don't know. It was a bad look for her, but as far as like the whole her doing that thing, like that's kind of what that whole generation does. They kind of just see something on Instagram. Like I remember when I was a young kid, like that age, like I saw something on Facebook about Darfur, and I was like, you know what? I want to fucking save Darfur. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do to save fucking Darfur? Like, like shit like that. But like when you're that age and you get that little, especially when you have 1 million followers, like Ellie Schnitt does, you get that little butterfly in your belly that thinks you're changing the world, and it makes you feel good. Now, granted, I'll never hold somebody's passion against them, but if she wants to help, go help. That's all I have to say. Like go help then. Right.
It's correct. So, Rob, for you, as you're listening to that on Sunday, Monday, Kirk's going at everything, including the Turtle Boy stuff, which I thought was interesting that riled up Portnoy. Rob, how much Barstool Radio or Barstool have you followed? Have you just been a Kirk fan? Like, what were you thinking as Kirk was going at Schnitt? And he's having
So I've been a fan of I've been a fan of Portnoy since I literally, like Kirk remembers, I got a physical Barstool Sports paper from Portnoy's hands.
Nice.
In Quincy, like God knows how long.
That's awesome.
I know. Then that's and I've been a fan since then. But the thing about Portnoy, like you said, Red, is that I think he's above it. He's above all this. So like, not above it, but he doesn't, like you said, you should have him on for content. He doesn't give a shit. I mean, honestly, how much more money can he make? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like he doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff. But
until the second he does give a shit, then he's
right.
all about like.
Well, he picks something. He'll pick something like in his brain. He'll get fixed on something.
Yeah. But like the tranny stuff, like I can see.
Oh, God, don't get me started on that one.
Well, like
holy shit!
As Minifans, we fucking hate tranny, and we've seen this before, and it was bullshit what she was doing. But I could see Portnoy's point in that nobody else is talking about it.
Right.
So the juice for him, as Tommy would say, is not worth the squeeze. But when it comes to this, everybody's talking about it. And Ellie Schnitt has some bullshit on her podcast. Like, this is a perfect opportunity for Portnoy to say, no, you got to do this shit.
Right.
You got to get on there and talk.
When you have someone on your podcast that openly advocates for burning police stations, I mean,
never okay. That's never okay in my eyes.
It's never okay. And then they offer the thing is they offer no solutions. Like I talked to my friend, he is a huge left wing guy. He says, and he'll say the same thing. Everybody protests, everybody wants to burn everything, defund the police, whatever defund the police means, defund the police, all that stuff. But they have no solutions. And my friend says, why don't you not defund the police? Give the police a little bit more money and have them take classes. Have them do extra training. Like have stuff like that. Like bring up programs, do something, anything. But like defund the police. So then who's going to save these? The people that sign the defund the police list, they should also sign a list that say the police can never go to their house. Ever protect them, ever save them, ever again. I mean, Makes
But
no
Red,
sense.
what do you think if it was reversed? What do you think if Kirk put a bail charity out there and Ellie kind of freaked out? Do you think it's a little bit different because Kirk is 45 and Ellie is, what is she, 14?
Well, yeah. So that's what I struggle with, is because I tend to look at her kind of like I look at Robbie Fox, and I'm like, you just don't have the life experience. You don't know what you're talking about, and you should just be listening. Like, you should do a lot more listening than you should be talking, and stop using Twitter as a way to put a hashtag out there, or Instagram to just put a black box out there and leave it at that. Like, you don't have the balls to put in the long game and do that, and to actually, register to vote and study up on this shit.
I think Kirk would have, like, if Kirk did that, you would have to assume he would have educated himself on the issue before doing such.
Each one of them,
but you know what I mean? He's a smart guy. I mean, granted, he's an older guy. Like, he's an older, wiser guy. That's why we would expect him to have done that.
Yeah. So when it's coming from Kirk, I guess it's different. But I also trust, him and Steve have done a good job. What was that girl's name where she was just showing her tits off at a baseball
Julie
game?
Rose.
Right. So
John knew that.
They clearly have done their
bud.
research on these fundraisers and know what's good and what's not. Ellie Schnitt, it just seems like even as that shit was going on Wednesday night, she was not engaging. She was subtweeting Kirk. She retweeted something that was, clearly a tweet that she hadn't done any research on what the fundraiser was, but she was doing it as a way to make a statement against Kirk without actually fucking engaging with him. Like, she just does so many things that it's clear she's just not in it for the actual substance of it. She's just in it for the post. And, her friend is sitting there talking about how Kirk's podcast is a dying podcast or whatever the fuck she said. But if you look at the numbers, nobody's watching that Ellie shit. Nobody's watching, nobody's listening to her podcast at all. So I don't know how you can even make that statement either. But so beyond the Ellie Schnitt stuff,
And just think that, like, this week, you're right. This week was a long week of shit, man. This was the long week of, even with the world, what's going on. This has been a long week, long 2 weeks.
So we're 12 minutes into the shit right now. And we haven't gotten to the most important thing, which I thought was the funniest thing, which I thought was got real on Wednesday on Barstool Radio was the Mike Florida trip with LK and Will.
This is the real fucking.
This was the best part of this week for me. And this is where I screw up because I'm thinking this is a joke. I'm loving, on Twitter, I think I compared Alba to Toni Braxton with how she broke up the Dallas Mavericks, which I thought was underrated.
That's a funny comparison.
For the basketball fans, like that's pretty funny, but it seemed to get really real on Wednesday's Barstool Radio, that second half of it. So as you're listening to it, John, what were you thinking on that Wednesday from Tuesday, Wednesday with Mike?
So for me, it's a little different. So like this trip has actually been planned for a while, right? So Will has been planning this trip with LK for a while. They're stopping here. They're going to be here tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like it was already planned that they were stopping here. So like the second I heard like, oh, Mike's coming, I was like, oh shit, like this is real now. Like now it's part of show content. Like I told the kid, I'm living with the kid right now, me and my girlfriend, and he hates Mike for some reason. And I was like, yo, Blind Mike might be coming here. He's like, fuck yes. I was like, but, like, I think it would have been good content. Menners is semi-right. Like, if your girlfriend tells you can't do something, you can't do it, period. I mean, even though, like, if she's threatening to leave you and Mike says he wants to marry this girl, is a trip to Florida with Will worth losing the girl you want to marry? No. Do I think she's the worst for saying that? I think she's the fucking worst. I'm so mad at her. But no, I'm excited to have even Will and LK come here. It'll be nice to just even have some guys I've never seen other than a tiny little screen come here. But I am pissed that this isn't going to be part of show content. I'm a little upset.
How good was it, Fez, when you're listening to, like, and I've got my issues with Steve. A lot of people do. How good was it when you're watching Kirk on Instagram? I think DJK put this out there where he's kind of raising his hand, right, and giving Steve the sign, and Steve's playing, that terrible song that he
the
played all week.
Yoko Ono song.
Oh, yeah.
The Yoko song, like, how good was that shit? And Mike's trying to like just yell through this and go through it. Like, that was the funniest fucking part of this week, man.
Yeah, that's what and it's funny that he prefaced all of it. When you look down, you see the tweet somebody retweeted about Yoko Ono, breaking up. But as far as there's like so many variables that go into it. So first off, like I don't blame Mike for not wanting to go with LK and Will. Like first off, nothing wrong with LK and Will. First off, I don't know what the hell's coming out of LK's ass on that trip down there with all that shit. So I want to stay away from that. And Will, who still knows that he screwed me in DMs with a certain somebody, so I wouldn't want to go on that trip. But as far as I'll try to keep it clean. Mike's girlfriend seems like she's batshit crazy. Like for what Mike told us, that's 33%.
That's not where I thought this was going to go. I didn't think he was going to say that.
For what Mike said, and I'm telling you this, there's way more to this story. Mike pumped those brakes so hard. There was tears, there was screaming, there was yelling. Even today on Mike and the Minifans when he was having his therapy session, because it wasn't Mike and the Minifans, it was a Zoom therapy session when I did it. He was like talking like, I'd rather be anywhere but here, like talking about his house. And I'm thinking to myself, Mike is just getting it from all angles. Like that, I don't want to say poor bastard because I ripped him apart and he is an idiot for doing it. It's his own fault. But if I had one thing for Mike, I would just run. I'd change my name and run.
That's my guy. That's my guy. I would change my name and run.
Because there's nothing else that's going to come out of it.
Key West is a good place to do that, too.
Yeah, that is. So, Rob, if you're telling your wife, like, I got to go away for work in 3 days, for a week, how's that going down, man? How's that going to play
I say
out?
I'm going away for 3 days. And she says, okay. I say, thank you very much. That's it. That's how it goes.
One of the people that are going on the trip is Tim Riggles, right? And he tweeted out the conversation he had with his wife, and it was just like, hey, I'm going on a trip with blah 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 blah, and she's like, oh, the guy from Madawaska, and she's like, yep, and then it was like blah blah blah, and she was like, okay, and he tweeted it to Mike. He's like, that's how it's done, Mike.
I mean, I had a 4-month-old. I have a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old. At the time, she was 1 month old when I bought the ticket to Madawaska. I just looked at my wife. I go, I'm going to Maine. She's like, where? I showed her on the map. She's like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm going. Yeah. But I mean, if you're Mike, you have to go. I don't understand. And here's the thing: if she has a problem with it, then she's not the one for you, big guy. But I'll say this: I'm a big Mike sympathizer, so I always feel bad for him. I do. I didn't realize it till I saw him in Madawaska. Like, you have to physically hand him a beer. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like you have to lead him out of a. I mean, that's to get to this point. I say A+ to him always. Right. So I'm a big sympathizer for him. But I'm with Fez. I'm with Fez. But at some point, he needs to realize, like, hey, this is content, and this can further my career. Because he said it in the beginning, and he said it in the beginning where he wants his own podcast and he wants to be on the radio. These are the things where Kirk's not around, Steve's not around. He can take control and do whatever he wants. He can play the king that he wants to play down there. And for him to just say, oh, I can't go because Alba wants one day. I mean, come on, he has to just kind of buck up and do it.
Yeah, I could see him struggling in his communication because he struggles with his communication on, just seeing him with Kirk. Like, he's definitely uncomfortable there. It seems like at home, maybe that is too. I just love that, we listen to a fucking podcast and here we are talking about Mike and, his love
relationship.
That's going on.
Awesome, man. He has been on fire this week.
I've caught a glimpse of Alba before, and she's worth not going to Florida. I'll tell you that much.
There you go.
So that's the side I took. Yeah. She is worth not going to Florida, bud.
Right,
and she's a hard worker, as we know.
Maybe she makes a ton of money. He doesn't care anymore.
That too.
And if Mike had actually explained it to her that this was for work, it would have happened. But something in that communication didn't happen for him. I don't care what. I don't give a fuck who's telling Mike this. I'm a fucking gearhead. I'm a big Mike fan. So I love that dude. I felt bad for him when it came to Wednesday. Like Tuesday, it seemed like a joke, but Wednesday, so Tuesday night it was funny. So I'm listening to that Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday on Barstool Radio, it was like Mike was getting pissed, and he got bailed out by the Ellie Schnitt stuff because I think Kirk would have just leaned into it even more on Thursday.
Yeah, if this was a no news week, which is surprisingly out of coronavirus, he hit the 1 week where there was a no news or there was a news week, and fuck, man, he just seemed to like upset. Like he knew, like at that point, I think he knew, like, yo, this is part of the show. I do kind of need to do this, and I'm being restricted from doing it. And now I have to go in front of my boss, Kirk, who is going to tear me to shreds, and Steve, who is going to keep throwing fire on top of those shreds. But I love Mike. I'm a gearhead too, man. I love Mike. I will always sympathize.
See, I'm a gearhead and a Robin fan. I'm everything. I like them all. I just think that they all. It's like a machine, and you got to use. You got to have all.
I will say what I didn't like is when he and Red, when he said, when that guy called in, when John from Scranton called in and said that he was someone was sending DMs to Mike.
Yes.
And saying about, and Mike said, oh, well, I get different things when people send DMs. What I don't understand is, like, you've been pretty, open and honest about everything.
Yep.
But what I don't understand is you have that kid, DJ K, who literally he brought fire. I loved it. He was from Fire City. Now he's living in Suck Pump City, and Kirk's basically using his face as a toilet seat. Like, I don't understand how all of a sudden he can switch and turn, and everything's fine, but yet you can't have an opinion anymore. And then you get shit on. Like, that's what I have. That's what pisses me off about it.
Well, yeah. I think you're either you're a drip, you're a contrarian and you hate the show, or you're out there ball washing, or you're just fucking.
Listen, I think all that matters is we make sure we listen to the podcast tomorrow. You know what I mean? Make sure you fucking hit play.
So
that's
all
that
you
matters.
gotta do is you download, you support the sponsors, and you do whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, bro.
On Twitter, that's it. So
Mike said on, or Mentor said on, or no, it was Mike. Said on Mike and the Minifans. Just fall in line. Like, that's one spot where no matter what Kirk, I fall in line for fucking Kirk. I'm sorry, I do every time. Every time.
I mean, she got
we
got it. You got it. Kirk fucking Minahan, bro.
You have to do it. So if Kirk's saying something, like there's only one voice that matters. The only time I get pissed off is when it's Steve Robinson trying to say shit, and maybe he does things like today with that caller with me. Like there's certain things that are getting out there that's just not true. Like and nobody gives a fuck.
Well, Red, clearly you stand on Ellie's side when a blog was released earlier this morning that said, why is Ellie Schnitt wrong?
Right.
It was by you.
I don't understand. And I can't get this information to Steve because he's unfollowed me, and I'm sure he's probably muted me, and I don't even give a fuck about all of this shit. So I gotta send like a 4-tweet fucking.
Nah, I think that caller was just uninformed, and he just was like, you know what? I've heard Red's name on the fucking show enough. This is my chance to call. I'm gonna go after this guy, and it works.
I am not,
Red, that was me who called in. Like,
Steve unfollowed you too, Red?
So he unfollowed me. I'm assuming he used the Kirk Minahan show account to unfollow me there. Kirk unfollowed me, which is totally fine. Like,
that's fine. Yeah, that's got to be fine. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
But why is it fine though? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, if you have a different opinion, why can't you say it? It's nothing.
Well, I do that sometimes. Like, if someone who follows me just gives me shit, sometimes I'm just like, fuck you. I just unfollow.
Yeah, but hold on.
Like, I just throw what do I matter? Their ratio can shit me.
I did not call Rob on here to listen to me bitch about this. This is not what, but this is the hill I'm dying on, and I'm going to stay on this hill. You guys can move on in the Miniverse, Twitterverse, without me. I'll die right here. All I fucking said was that Mayo was a fucking cunt. He was a humorless cunt when it came.
It's funny that you two are on the same side now,
right? And so now Mayo's he's a humorless cunt, and he's kicked out of the world, right? But that's all that I said. I said that, and I said Steve has an occasion of lying, and which that is stone.
True.
Moses came down from the mountains and had his tablets. It's Steve is a liar. It's right there with the fucking KMS show. So I don't understand how I turned into this contrarian and people hate me. I fucking love the show. The
funny thing is, like, I know you, no matter what, you love the show and you're going to be a loyal cootie no matter what. So, like, I think they kind of, Here was my thing. Like, I know we're rambling about your battle, but like, fuck it. I don't think anyone's watching, anyways. It's kind of like we're just talking. I think they were kind of just throwing you through the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they were throwing you through the fire a little bit, see if you can make it out, and I think you're the kind of guy that's no matter what not going to quit. You listen to the podcast every day. I mean, other than the fact that you're a pussy and you quit must see. Like a pussy. Let me alone. No, sorry. But no, I think that like the thing is like 2 weeks before that, like Kirk was saying, like, I like the rundown. I like what Red's doing. And then like, yeah, I guess you did do something he didn't like, but then you were just thrown under a goddamn fucking stove, so, but it is Kirk. And like, listen, we've all been through the fire and it is what it is, but like it's kind of just like I said earlier. Make sure you fucking hit play.
Fire. Yeah, I don't even know what half the fucking shit you guys are talking about. I have no fucking.
Good.
That's the way I like it. I'm 50-50 in. I got 1 foot in. I got 1 foot out. That's the way I like to be. Like fucking right there.
To get to that, Rob, as you're because you're on Twitter, you obviously listen to the show.
Yeah.
As you're hearing it on the show, and you're hearing these random comments about a Red here or Menner's there.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking? Do you watch the YouTube shows? Do you give a shit about any of this stuff?
I am a Menace fan. I love the little guy who brings the fire. I do. And I love the accent. That's what I told him. I go, I go for the accent. I stay for the fire. That's what I But
he talked shit on you on his show this week.
Did he?
Yeah. He didn't like your show. He said you're a fucking trip.
I have more life.
I think that means he likes you, though.
I was gonna say I have more life experiences in a weekend than Menace has had in fucking life. I'll tell you that fucking much. But I like when they talk about it. It's all characters in a show for me. Like that's the
way I look at it.
So like before when they had started it, whatever it was, June. So then think about it. I didn't join Twitter till about February. So from December to like January, February, I don't know anybody. I don't even know what these things are, but it's all, he makes it funny. It's fucking Minahan. He can make anything funny. Yeah. So it's all good.
So when you're hearing we hear today, we'll hit the Zonker stuff and then we'll talk about the drive-in live show. But so when you're hearing the Zonker stuff today, Rob, do you follow Zonker? Do you understand what's going on there? Did you see what he was tweeting today and what you listened to on the show? Like, what were you thinking when you heard that shit today?
Yeah, I mean, I go on and off. Like, I honestly thought he was like a parody account originally from the Minahan show. Like, that's what I originally.
Okay.
I mean, so like when you see that, then I see him today, and I was just like, what in the fuck? When stuff like that happens, I can't start commenting on everything that people post like that because then I'd be all day. I'd just be sitting there and. Unfortunately, I get these 2 little rat kids that are living with me right now, so I have to take care of them. No, I'm just kidding. I love them, but yeah, it's
rats.
Yeah.
So John, I mean, you're to blame.
So yeah, as the guy who has full responsibility apparently for Zonker's behavior recently. No, I mean, yeah, we did. We were the first ones who kind of interacted with Zonker. Zonker has been pretty much a close, companion of mine throughout since we've had him on there. He's helped me in things. He's done things that have helped me greatly. He was a Barstool lore type deal. He came into the Miniverse saying I usually don't catch on to things and follow along. Like he's a deadhead. He's like, I don't follow. I like the Grateful Dead. I'm not a deadhead. And I was like, oh, cool. Like he doesn't attach to things. I think because of he was kind of like a little celebrity in our world and he deserved it because he's kind of the man. And he kind of latched on because the Minifans were nice to him. And you know what I mean? We liked the guy. He was a good guy. He helped us out when he could. He still throws redirects our way. And that video that he was on our show, it has fucking 16,000 views now. You know what I mean? It's like he helps us that way. Is he as potent and poisonous to Portnoy now? No, he's not at all. But he's a troll. You have to take him as a troll. And I think he was in on the joke, but Justin released the DM where he said, I'm not used to being everybody's hero. I'm used to being the enemy. So he told me that up front. But I think just recently, the guy is very passionate about his fucking politics, and Kirk went against what he thought, and he's voicing it now. That all support ends with the fact that I heard one night that he wrote an op-ed to the Boston Globe. The second I heard it, I DM'd him. I asked him. I didn't get a fucking answer until the next, because if that's the truth, I would just be like, go fuck yourself. Like, that's the exact opposite of what I think is trolling. That's actually being like an enemy of ours. Right. I don't consider him an enemy of mine. He, like I said, he's a loyal guy to me. Always. But thank God we found out he actually didn't do that. But who's to say he won't? I mean, so I just think he just differs on views. Fez, what do you think?
The two things. First one is Zonkers is actually John's dad.
Yep, that's my dad.
And I'm far too stupid.
My dad doesn't know what a domain even is.
I'm just too stupid to understand Zonker. I mean, he like high level trolls when you're just like, wait, is this guy serious or not? Which I kind of strive to be, because you're all of a sudden like, wait, is this serious? So I think he's a little batshit crazy, but I mean, he doesn't really hurt too many people. But I think
who in this world isn't batshit crazy though, is the way I look at it.
Mike knows that.
This is why I like guys like Fez. You do a funny way of trolling guys, and you're a little bit counterculture in that you're not out there just being a suck pump for the show.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if Fez likes me or not, and I would consider him a friend.
I do. And I only joke that, like, when I say that suck pump stuff, like, my only issue is like there's a lot of people who like, so I don't understand, like, when we say like my biggest issue, Red, is like when we talk about like unfollowing, it's like, why? I think it's good to have a culture,
to have that. Exactly.
To have that. Exactly. Like, my thing is I'm all about free blind Mike sneakers. Like, he is a troll, but yet if you get to know him,
he's one of the nicest guys. Yeah.
He's one of the nicest guys.
Absolutely.
But my problem is, like, I don't understand why you can't, like, with Kirk is like kind of like he gets into those, and he even says it himself. He says he's sensitive, but it's good to have these guys who push back. Like, he wants to be the king of the castle, but he's basically created Steve and Mike just to be yes men, and that's all they are. And I think, Kirk's talented. Kirk does what he does because he's talented, and I do what I do because I got to pay the fucking mortgage. But the difference is I think that, like, as the show goes on, he's literally, and this goes, Red, sorry to ramble, but this goes into like the live event where even today he's like, hey, did anybody complain? Who gives a shit if people complain? Let them fucking complain. It's like, you sold out in a day. Who cares if people complain? People are gonna bitch no matter what. Accept it. Like, people bitch to me. Like,
that's the thing. It's like it's a couple of guys who bitch about it, and really when they're bitching about it, they're really just bitching about Steve. Like, I don't hear anybody really criticizing Kirk in a lot of different ways. But even still, like, I don't agree with everything that Zonker does, but I appreciate that he's around. I like having him around because you need to have that. That's
the Boston Globe.
I like Andy Mayo because I like to have that. Like, I love watching Fox News and fucking MSNBC because I never agree with any of the shit I see, but I like watching it. Like, I like having that voice. I like Ellie Schnitt doing her fucking podcast about burning down a police precinct because I disagree with it. I like hearing that shit. So I like having them around. So if I'm following Zonker, like, that should be okay. Now, like John said, Zonker didn't actually do the op-ed with the Boston Globe, so it's a different story. If he had done that, like, that's a clear line.
That's a disavow. That's a disavow with me. Like, that's just doing a Murchison move. That's a disavow. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, that's not okay in our books. And our world is Kirk's world, and our world goes by Kirk's motherfucking rules. And
especially
that's not okay with them.
Like, if you want to do an op-ed in a paper where you disagree with Kirk, but you're mentioning Kirk, like, that is promotion for Kirk, and if it's a fair disagreement, that's fucking great. But to go to the Globe would have been bullshit. But I loved Zonker doing that to see where Adam,
who would rat out,
to see what Adam's gonna do, because I like Adam. Adam loves the show, but he went right to Steve with that shit, and Steve loved it like he was a guy.
Yeah.
So he gave us some fake, the false flag operation, gave it right to Steve. For the live show, to get into the live show, so that a drive-in in Saco, Maine, which I've been many times and I love, sells out in a couple of fucking hours. What podcast is ever going to do that? That's insane.
I tweeted to Ellie right when the show got sold out. And I was like, Ellie, I just missed tickets for your drive-through show. I'm so sorry. I know I did get one ticket to the Wilbur for your first show, but I couldn't get the second. I'm sorry. I know they sold out in only a couple minutes. And no one liked my tweet.
So I know John's going.
It's insane.
I'm going. Rob, are you going to the show?
Oh yeah, big time. I'll probably be there
We're
by
getting,
myself. I'm probably gonna go with my own car. I was thinking about, there's a water park right across the street. You've been to the water park too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I think we go water park first.
Is there?
Water park first, and then
two.
Yeah, and know what got me? Know what made it move today is when they said they were getting the flag, and I just imagined just a fucking sea of flags, and it was just like. Like it fucking rocket. I'm so hyped for the show.
Man, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Fez, were you able to get tickets?
No, it's too much money. They didn't give gas money, so I couldn't go. So I'll be on vacation that week. It was funny because I actually got on and everything. And
fucking unsubscribe, bud. Unsubscribe.
Right? So I expected to be blocked soon. So
no.
But I got vacation that week. So
where are you going for vacation?
I just go down to North Carolina. So I know that.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna.
No, I'm hyped for it. I'm hyped to go to Maine. First of all, I've never been north of Boston, so I'm hyped to go to Maine. I'm hyped to, I'm hyped to see my guy gig up there. Like, we're gonna be getting we're calling it the Minsell Mansion. We're getting a mansion.
Wait, is Gig the one that just did the Home Improvement show?
Yeah. Gig.
That was a good show. I love that.
So Gig and Tony and I produced it for them, and it is an awesome show. I wanted to at least mention better than it used to be because they did awesome on that show. Man. It's so funny.
It's perfect. It's such a unique show. I'm biased, obviously, but I love the main Minifans. Like, it doesn't get any better than Lauren Lynn, obviously, and TJ Hubbard.
Mm-hmm. Like I just can't. TJ Hubbard said he might get a hot tub for the back of his truck. Like, this is going to be just like you go to a country concert, not for the music, for the tailgating. Like, this is basically like we get a tailgate and watch a fucking giant screen.
I might pay one of my friends to drive my car, so I don't have to worry about it. It's going to cost me $500. I'm going to pay him $300 again.
This jogs my memory. So the caller today who was calling with, I was so fired up. The guy's like, I got a small camper. I want to bring it. I'm texting guys, Blind Prison Mike. I want to make sure we're tailgating. Bringing barbecue, everything. Bring the keg.
Blind Prison Mike. This one was for him too. I wore this T-shirt. I know he loves the.
I'm from fucking Scranton.
We're getting ready for the tailgate.
I know.
We're getting ready for the tailgate, and then this caller calls in. He wants him to bring his camper, and Steve jumps all over the motherfucker and wants to kill him for the camper. It's like, Steve, I don't care what time you start the show. They're gonna let us in at 5, 4 o'clock. I don't give a shit. We're all gonna be hanging out there with our fucking flags, our Kirk Minahan flags, like we're a bunch of pirate ships out there. Like, it's gonna be man. We're gonna be.
It's gonna be fucking great, dude. I can't fucking wait for this. I can't.
Me either. When I
wish there was two of these
with my kids.
We're gonna simulcast. We're gonna simulcast it down there.
I'll be so jealous, Fez. I'll be so jealous.
Fez is gonna be so mad. It's gonna be great for Twitter.
Anything for after show? Anything else you guys have to bring up?
I think I've whined enough about my bullshit. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, we're fucking sick of it. No.
I got Menace tweeting at me right now. I really like Madawaska Rob. I don't love his show, but you should give it a go. Menace doesn't like my show because he has no humor in that fucking little body of his. I'm just kidding. I love him.
I'm just kidding. I'm happy. I'm happy something I said got Menners to pay attention.
I love Menners for just sitting on John. Menners doesn't.
I want to meet Menners. Menners is a guy I can take down a couple pints with.
I talk to Menners a lot. a lot, but he goes out of his way to try to get me killed. He goes out of his way to, even tonight, he's like, those fucking Minsell guys brought Zonker in this world with stars in their eyes for bars. I'm like, oh, you hit all the fucking hot words right there. Fucking Barstool, Minsell.
He goes out of his way to get his hairline killed lately.
I saw people saying that. I thought tonight it looked fine.
It's like oil and water. That's running.
He's handsome. He's handsome for a little month. Yeah.
Let's be honest. I gave myself
anything else, man, before we get out of here.
Yeah, you have anything else?
Don't give yourself a haircut.
I want you to know that we were going to go naked rundown, by the way, and then Fez told us not to. We were going to go naked.
Yeah, tonight was supposed to be naked rundown, and I had to Google if you could show male nipples on here, which I never Googled. So good thing we didn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done the rundown with as excited I was have been with you guys with your shirts off. So
that's what took
All right,
him so
well,
long to sign on.
We'll wrap up on this. Again, Kirk is the greatest. Fucking podcast Jesus. Love that motherfucker. I don't care what he says.
Yeah, he's the best of the best.
Steve is a liar. He lies all the fucking time. It's what he does. He lies. He doesn't lie to live. He lives to lie. That's fucking truth. Okay. He's also
But he's the best producer.
He's a fucking flatlander. He's a private school boy. Hear me, Steve. You boy. Okay. I might be a couple of wines in. I don't give a shit. Okay? You're a private school fuck boy. You're a flatlander. You've been in Massachusetts too long. Probably don't even have a gun that you even know how to shoot up here in Dexter. You don't know how to ice fish either, motherfucker.
Did you even watch better than it used to be, Steve?
So remember that, Steve. And also, I'm a fucking gearhead. I'm Team Mike. So you guys can all go fuck yourselves too, okay? Anything else, Rob? Look at you.
That's what I got right there for you. See that picture? That's me and my favorite producer right there.
I love him. All right, so Steve, I love you. Thank you guys for doing this.
free
Rundown.
sneakers. Free
Anything
points for my
else?
sneakers.
Nick, we're good. Love sneakers.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Thank
Talk to
you,
you.
Rob.
Thanks.
Take my